Let's talk about this now with my guest this week, pollster and former senior counselor to President Trump, Kellyanne Conway, along with former New York City politician and host of the Cut to the Chase podcast, Laura Curran. Ladies, thank you both indeed for being here. Kellyanne, let me start with you. What about the politics, though? As I said, it does seem to be a gift for Trump. It does absolutely emphasize his case that he's a victim of overzealous and politically motivated prosecutors, and actually could help him, presumably. Does it help him in terms of his political ambitions? Does it help him within the Republican Party and in the country at large?
Jerry, let me make clear that nobody wants to be indicted or arrested or handcuffed or perp walked or have their DNA put into the statewide criminal database. Having said that, if you take the long view, it'd be hard to see how this doesn't benefit President Trump, because it plays right into what he has always said, which is they're out to get me, which means they're out to get you, the voter, the 74 million people who supported him in 2020. That's not a base. That's a large percentage of the country. And I'd say it's growing again, because let's look at how people not just look at the Trump cases, but how they look at their own economic wherewithal. If you're the average American household and you're saying, look, I was doing so much better under Donald Trump, and you stopping him, denying me my voice and my choice in this next election, is you denying me my economic freedom, my ability to afford everyday bills. Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. They say they can't afford a $1,000 surprise medical emergency or other bill. Now, for Trump, and just in full disclosure to your audience, I've discussed this with President Trump one-on-one, this case, and I testified to the Manhattan grand jury in this case. And I do want to say this. It doesn't seem to me that Alvin Bragg and his assistant district attorneys, Jerry, are that interested in prosecuting a case that will succeed. In other words, that they ultimately will prosecute and punish and criminally convict Donald Trump. I think it's enough for them to wave the flag and say, we were the first, because the left cares about optics and being the first. We're the first to preside over the indictment of a sitting former president. But they have to think, I think the brushback and the delay here is because they know it's weak, and they've tried to build a case based on the testimony of Michael Cohen and, to a lesser extent, Stormy Daniels. You simply can't do that. The letters from 2018 make clear they said there was no affair. This had nothing to do with the campaign. They've changed their stories since.
Laura Curran, you're in New York. You've spent a lot of time. You've served in New York politics. Listening to what Kellyanne says there, maybe this is exactly what this is about. They don't really care whether they get a conviction. But actually, if you look at it, you've got the grand jury is in Manhattan. The trial, presumably, if it happens, will be in Manhattan. That's where Donald Trump got 12% of the vote. Let me remind you, in 2020, you've got an Democrat-elected prosecutor, Alvin Bragg. You've got judges who are elected in New York. I mean, so you do have, I'm sorry to say this, but obviously we want justice to be blind and to be fair. But it does look like you've got a heavily politicized system already, a judicial system in much of the country, but particularly in New York. Is that likely to result in a fair judicial process for someone like Donald Trump?
You know, I do have to agree that it is political. And if I were a conspiracy theorist, I would say maybe the Democrats want Donald Trump to be the nominee. You know, I think there's a feeling within the Democratic Party, and I am a Democrat, is that if Trump is running, it's great for our Democrats down the ballot. It's great for the presidential election as well. I don't think that's actually the case, but the fact is this is helping Trump than it is more than it is helping Democrats. He's raising more money. Here we are talking about him again, and it makes this Democratic elected prosecutor look like he's not good at prosecuting or politics.
Well, let me just very quickly ask you, as a Democrat, do you think actually Donald Trump is the best candidate, Republican candidate the Democrats could run again? Do you actually share that view?
I do not think that is the case. I think we have said Donald Trump is over how many times, and how many times has he not been over? So I would not count him out as an eventual winner.
Yeah, they made that mistake in the past. I think we can say that.